All right, welcome to the GLOAT podcast, episode 26, live from your house as we get ready, ladies and gentlemen, for the month of September, as we're coming to the final days of fall coming soon, with the final days of summer and school vacation already over for the last couple weeks right now. We still have a lot of excitement stuff to talk about in professional boxing and the outside world as we speak. The first information I like to talk about will be, most importantly, an interesting story that I'm really shocked to hear of, that on October the 14th in Ariake Arena in Kotoku in Japan, Junto Nakatani, WBC World Bantamweight, will be taking on a hype job Thailand fighter, Tasana Salapat. 76 wins and 1 loss. This is a ridiculous mismatch of bullcrap. A guy that's fought over, in his last 20 or so fights in the 2020s right now, has been a bunch of bullcrap wins that aren't even top-leveled fighters. WBC Asia Silver Bantamweight champion. This guy is 30 years old, and his first professional loss happened during a day before the New Year's Eve in 2018 against Takuma Inoue, Naoya Inoue's brother. Defeated this guy for the WBC interim bantamweight belt. In my mind, was 9 rounds to 3. Takuma defeated him easily. And of course, months after he won that fight, well, I would say a full year after he won that fight, come November, he lost 12 rounds by domination in the WBC World Bantamweight against Nordine Al-Bali. But of course, he barely recovered to win. But this fight's ridiculous because Junto Nakatani, his weight classes come WBO World Flyweight, WBO Super Flyweight, WBC World Bantamweight, 3-time class weight champion. His title defenses are sort of mediocre when you talk about Francisco Rodriguez, the non-title fight in 2022. His win that made him won the WBO World Flyweight title in 2020, Andrew Maloney fight. But in his last 3 fights after that, in 2023 to 2024, have been competition. I don't think I would call him a level A fighter. I would say he's a level B fighter, but if he wants to be in the A, he has to, I would just say he has to take on more competition before he gets to the next step, stay in one division, and try to win multiple belts. So for reasons why he did this, I don't know. As recording this video, guys, we already know Canelo Alvarez already defended his belt against the number 1 ranked fighter in the boxing category, and nothing much you can say about that. But as of right now, on September the 20th, in Glendale, California, we have Jaime Munguia taking on Eric Bazinian tomorrow. So let's see if that guy can recover his career. Both of the fighters in their last fights has gone without a win, so it's going to be an interesting fight. We also do have Richard Torres Jr., silver medalist winner as of right now in the 2021 Olympic Games, is taking on another interesting journeyman fighter tomorrow as well in the same venue. So it's going to be interesting to see his 11th professional fight. Don King Promotions is coming back again on September the 28th, and of course, Ally Miami, Florida, again for a WBC World Cruiserweight title fight, which might be a ridiculous fight. But yet again, can Soso bring out his 50th year after the Rumble in the Jungle and everything happened with Cassius Chaney and Michael Hunter last June? If this is going to be his last time he'll be in the ring or in his promotion before he passes away, because he's an old dude. Don King still around, Bob Arum, like Frank Warren. Yeah, there's so much of these promoters still alive today. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. The final information I like to point out would have to be everyone that loves it. Jake Paul, the problem child, will take on Mike Tyson on November the 15th in Arlington, TNT Stadium. So we don't know how that's going to affect it. He took on a fighter against Michael Perry, which went 6 rounds. The guy got knocked down a bunch of times in round 1, 2, and then 6 that ended the fight. So, waste of time there. So, at this moment, whatever is going to happen, I expect something interesting behind the scenes. Like, don't get me wrong, Jake Paul finally took on a couple interesting guys in December last year and last March with winning records against some fighters, one in Puerto Rico. So, but yet again, this is an 8-round, 2-minute fight. I really don't know how you can say that Jake Paul is 27 years old, 6'1", and he's more into a heavyweight status, taking on Mike Tyson that hasn't fought for now 19 years in pro since 2005 when his last fight in 2005 was a cornerman retirement against Kevin McBride. So at this moment, it's ridiculous. And at the same time, I question. I just see a lot of problems coming into this while we're speaking. Like 2 minutes of an 8-round fight, like that's 16 minutes of boxing in the ring. So it's going to be interesting to know what happens. Like Jake Paul is number 105 in cruiserweight, but gets heavyweight. Who knows where Mike Tyson's going to be ranked in BoxRec? It's funny. But yet again, for how this fight's going to end, if the fight does happen, I don't know what to say. The final information I like to point out before I get to my 3 topics. Anthony Joshua will be fighting on September the 21st in Wembley against Daniel Dubois. A fight that a lot of people might not care about. I looked up information about another fight in September. Supposed to be Manuel Char taking on Kubrat Pulev. They were supposed to fight in March the 30th. Char got his torn biceps, so someone took out a guy named Ihor Hulk to be replacement for him against Kubrat Pulev. Pulev won the fight, and they stated that they're going to fight. They were going to rematch the fight in September to get the fight going. And as of right now, there hasn't been information since. So for if Kubrat Pulev or Char don't take the fight, like, don't get me wrong, guys. I know a lot of people might not care about this WBA regular bout and neither this IBF title fight that's going to happen in a couple of days. And at this moment, people do say if Joshua or Dubois or anyone does win this fight, they will have a match against Usyk. This makes no sense whatsoever because at this moment, guys, Alexander Usyk is not he's 37 years old. He's going to turn 38. He's like, if he defends his belts against Tyson Fury in December the 21st and wins, like, at this moment, guys, 2023, hear me out. In 2023, we heard that he was going to sign up to be a soccer player in Ukraine. Someone said that he was going to take on for keeping the war as he was going to be busy working for the Ukraine war. And he went to a children's hospital and heard about what happened. At this moment, he also stated that he's thinking about going back to cruiserweight. And some people think he should just go bare-knuckle boxing or other sports. At this moment, we don't know what Usyk's future is after this fight. Why do we even want to see a rematch with this? There's too many British boxers getting pushed out of going for these heavyweight title spots against a Ukrainian that's defeated everyone. He defeated Joshua, he defeated Dubois, he defeated Fury. So even if he beats Fury again, as Joshua and Dubois fight on September the 21st, months after that fight ended, one of them win, why do we want to see a rematch with them? Fuck, to put Ajit Caballel from Germany, give him a shot. Martin Bacall, give him a shot. Or Zhuyi Zhang, give him a shot. Or better yet, give Joseph Parker a shot. Like, those are the 4 fighters I find more interesting than anyone else. It just doesn't make sense why you should put another British fight against this Ukrainian champion. It doesn't make sense. It's ridiculous. Why do we want to pay money for another fight or a rematch or a trilogy against this fight? It's ridiculous. It's like if Joshua wins this fight against Blah and then he beats Usyk in the third fight, it's like, okay, well, just like Dave Spain once said in the 88 Charlotte 600 race, the kamikaze mission with all drivers running on Hoosier tires. Yeah, saying about the tire war against Hoosier versus Goodyear. Yeah. So, yeah, wars are like any other wars. Nobody won and everybody lost. So even if Joshua does win his trilogy third fight with Usyk, at the end of the day, he might have won the battle. He might have won the war, but he didn't win the battle. Nobody won and everybody lost. And also, why, if we want to see a rematch in a fourth fight with him and Usyk? Dude, Ezra Charles and Jersey Joe Walcott was more ridiculous than ever. These are just two countries we're fighting. Put any of the other countries in competition. I don't get it, and it just doesn't make sense. There's nothing entertaining to see rematches of other fights. We want to see other countries from China, from Australia, Cuba, Sweden, Nigeria, even the Congo. Like, let's just put this fight on the line. It doesn't make sense. All right, guys. So with all that out of the way, guys, the second topic, I will like to point this out, guys. On October, the next episode I'm going to try to release in October will be UFC 3. UFC 3. You guessed it. And it's going to be known, as everyone likes it, as the American Dream on September the 9th, 1994. I was going to do it as a 30th anniversary, but of course, after everything happening weeks ago, it's going to be interesting for me to talk about that full show. I can't wait to talk about it, and I hope everyone enjoys it. The competition is going to be simple, guys. It's instead of doing a 16-man tournament as they did in UFC 2, which was too much, they're going to do an 8-man tournament. It's going to be Keith Hackney and Emmanuel Yarbrough. Ken Shamrock is going to come back with Christopher Leidinger, Harold Howard from Canada, and Rowan Payne. Royce Gracie's going to come back, this time with Kimo Leopardo. Keith is a Kempo fighter. Emmanuel Yarbrough is a sumo fighter. Ken Shamrock, shoe fighter. Judo, Christophe. Goju Rio fighter of Harold Howard. And a Muay Thai fighter, Rowan Wapane. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Royce. And Kimo Leopardo, Taekwondo. So it's going to be interesting to understand competition. The 8-man tournament, simple. Whoever makes it to the final, winner will receive $60,000. And also the rules are going to be different. The tournament has still no weight classes nor time limits. Each match has no time limit or rounds. No judges will be ruled for the fight or even used for the night. Competitors could only win by match by submission, throwing in a towel, or knockout. But they also have referee stoppages, which they didn't have in UFC 1 or 2. And this event marked it as the first time in UFC history that referees were given the authority to stop the contest. And of course, it's Big John McCarthy is the entire referee for the night of that show. So it's going to be interesting competition. And they do have a couple other backup fighters that might be in the preliminary fights, such as Steve Jenham and, of course, Felix Mitchell, which are two other guys in competition, as Felix Mitchell is a Kung Fu fighter. Steve Jenham is a Ninjutsu fighter. So if anyone gets injured, they'll be brought in the tournament as a replacement for the tournament. So yet again, guys, it's going to be interesting competition, and I can't wait to talk about it. It's going to be really fun, and I hope anyone will enjoy it. It's going to be really a good time, and I'm really excited to talk about it, because it might be a really fun idea to go for. So yeah, have the tournaments gone a lot crazier than they are? Well, for 30 years after that third UFC show, things can get crazier in the future. Nothing much to say. Anyway, so guys, I made a comment for SMB Boxing to make another video of the worst fights in boxing history. And I really did. I waited a long time, and I told him there was one fight that I really didn't like. Now, guys, remember when I talked about minutes ago with Tyson lost against Kevin McBride in 2005, which was his last fight? That was his loss. Well, before that fight, he took on another guy named Danny Williams. And, of course, that fight took place in July 30, 2004. It was a full year and a half when Tyson was out of the ring since February with his Clifford Yoon fight, first-round knockout, blah, blah. But, yeah, after that famous first-round knockout came to an end, which was actually one of the scary good knockouts for Tyson, mostly William defeated Mike Tyson, and by December 11th, 2004, he lost against Klitschko in horrific fashion of knockouts. So what happened? Well, they decide to put on a tune-up fight to bring Williams back. Now, guys, just to point this out, William has had a lot of interesting stuff in his career. The time when he even went for the title eliminators back in 2004, when he actually broke someone's bicep torn months before his Tyson fight. There was another time where, well, the time we got knocked down several times against Sinam Samail Sam in 2003, and how that fight felt like he was done for. Or the time in 2000 when he took on against Mark Potter, and at that time, in one of the few rounds of the fight, he dislocated his right shoulder early in the fight before coming back to stop him with punching with his left, and won by around 6 TKO in that fight, and how that fight went. But this right here cements the dawning of an end of a British fighter's career. I saw this fight a long time, about a few months ago, and I wanted to ask SMB Boxing. I made a comment on one video. I can't find that comment, but I told him, review the fight, Danny Williams versus Zoltan Petraniel, June 4th, 2005. It's a horrible fight, and it explains what boxing can do when a person's career is dead. And I really waited for this, but when I looked up and I realized that he just made the video as a couple weeks ago, a couple of days ago, I just found the video, part 2, Boxing's Worst Fights. And to be honest, this has to be a fight so bad to talk about. And even though this is the third topic out of 4 I'm talking about, this is the only fight I'm going to talk about of the entire list. This, I really don't know what to say about this, because like, I'm going to have to go back. I'm going to type on the video and no, because it's been a while since I didn't know what the video, I haven't seen it in a couple of days, so I'm going to click on his video and find it. So give me a second. Here it is. Okay. Oh man, my gosh, I can't believe. Oh man, the Unity Young. Oh gosh, that fight. Oh boy, that fight gives me a headache sometimes. Anyway, so guys, Guys, this fight. This fight. This fight right here. To let you viewers know how bad this fight is, this, guys, this fight is so bad. Guys, this fight was so bad. And I'm sorry for pausing so much because I really don't want to talk about this fight. So, like I said before, guys, so William thought it was a good idea to get a tune-up fight to warm himself up against a better fighter in the near future. Which kind of worked, but not in the way you expected. And I'll explain that until this is over. So yeah, William defeats Tyson, and then months later he loses against Vitaly Klitschko. And after following a 6-month layoff after his 4th career defeat against Klitschko, which SMB said, it's... So, and guys, the reason I picked this fight for SMB to talk about is because of how terrible it was. After his loss against Klitschko, he decided to put up a tune-up fight. And this fight was ridiculous. And the commentators commentating this fight knows how ridiculously bad this was. This, guys, you have to understand. This, guys, Zoltan Petrani, 18 wins, 14 losses from Hungary, and he would box until 2018 for a 22-year span from 96 to 2018 with a record of 56 wins, 19 knockouts, 17 out of 24 of his losses by knockout. 81 fights. That's ridiculous. And his losses were against some people that were nobodies, but some that were somebodies but forgotten. Like, if I had to talk about each fighter he lost against before he took on Williams, this would be a long video. But yeah, his record and even his winning record resumes were sloppy against nobody opponents. Even the fighters that were somebody opponents that he fought against were better than him. Yes, he defeated a couple people with undefeated records, I guess, but there wasn't much to talk about this guy. He comes into this fight as a ridiculous character. When you look at Petrani's record, the opposition was horrible. 22,000 people saw this fight. This fight reminded me of Jake Paul in his second professional fight against that short basketball player. You know, the fight that took place before the main event of Mike Tyson and Roy Jones Jr. in that exhibition fight in 2020. That's what this fight reminded me of. Because even though Williams struggled to land a shot in the first minutes to hurt the Hungarian, because there were times there were clinches. The Hungarian sometimes, even when he tried to charge after Williams, he would clinch him. Sometimes he would duck down low and get clinched as much. In the first couple minutes of the fight, Williams couldn't even land a good shot. And there was so much sloppiness that there was one moment where the Hungarian threw the punch on his left, and then Williams ducks, and now he has his arm caught, and he's trying to throw. It was ridiculous. And it happens again. He throws a right hand with 1 minute, 20 seconds left, and he gets dropped down. Like, we get a tiny bit of a couple punches in the right hand from Williams, but like, this is ridiculous. And with only 1 minute left of the first round, with clinching, I wouldn't say it was a boring fight, but a fight that was ridiculous because this is a guy that defeated the Iron Mike Tyson, a guy that lost against Vili Klitschko, and now he's struggling against this guy that has no lethargical competition. It was bad. You come to the end of round 1, and there was a 10-8 score, and then we come to round 2, and the same thing. Now, the fight would get interesting, but for all the wrong reasons. In the first minute of the second round, at around 50 seconds, Petrani tries to clinch him again, and Danny Williams puts his gloves around his neck and just wrestles on, and referee tells him to stop and such. And then about another 30 seconds later, almost in the halfway mark, it's like Petrani was going to go for an NFL tackle or something. Like, he moves his body, and then he throws his left, and he jumps on top. As he misses with his left, Williams goes down, and Petrani jumps onto his body. And as he does it, he puts Williams onto his armpit, and he punches in the back with his arm. He punches while he was like, this was like a Three Stooges skit where, you know the episode Punch and Drunks, episode 2 of the Three Stooges in 1934, where Curly had to box a person at the time because he was a professional boxer, because every time he hears Pop Goes the Weasel, whether Larry was playing the violin, he goes crazy and berserk and knocks out people. But of course, Larry is trying to find something because his violin broke, and Curly has a problem. And there was a time he was clinching, and the fighter he was fighting against was punching him in the back with his right behind his back while putting a headlock on him the same way. That was so ridiculous. It was so ridiculous that the commentator said, as he throws that punch, the commentator said, and I quote, "That is the strangest punch I think I've ever seen anybody attempt." Unless if you haven't watched the Three Stooges. It's ridiculous. There's so much entertaining weirdness going on. The fight goes by pretty fast, but it's not the horrible fight, but it's horrible for what would happen for Danny Williams' career in the future, because he would lose fights for the rest of his career and barely win fights. By the final minute of the fight, there was a moment with only 30 or 40 seconds left of the second round. So guys, this is what happened. I see the fight. Petrani is going to charge after Williams to throw an interesting, probably a 2-punch combination, a left and a right. But then he throws a left, maybe connected, and throws a right, goes, but then Williams ducks, swings, and then he hits the ground, knockout. I could not see if Williams threw the punch on him. It looked like that when looking at the replay and freeze framing it video by video at first. It looked like Williams might have connected a tiny punch on him, but you could see it because in live, the hard camera is looking at Petrani's backside, blocking the front side of Williams. So you can't see if he connected the punch or not. So it seemed like he stumbled at first, which was ridiculous. But they counted as a knockout. But then they show us a downward play, a guy down outside of the ring. And it does show Williams Williams threw the tiny jab that didn't hurt that much, I guess. But I guess Petrani never got involved with hard punches like that. So, yeah. And then he punches him. He throws a left punch. Petrani gets back up. He throws a left punch. And then down goes Petrani. The bell rings. At this moment, I scored 10-8, 10-7 in round 1 and 2 for Williams. Like, it's bad. And this is the moment where the fight got worse. So the fight starts in round 3. 20 seconds into the fight, now the Hungarian Petrani is still clinching on to Williams, and as Williams managed to push him back a tiny bit, he managed to throw this good right punch. Down goes the Hungarian again. I'm like, just end this fight. Just end this fight. This is a struggle of a fight. Heavyweight contender is fighting against this guy, and it's ridiculous. He gets back up, and then Petrani tried to jump attack him or something, or try to clinch him and under, and then he backs on and he makes a like the way the Hungarian runs and moves, like, it's a really bad fight. And this is the moment, guys, where it all comes to an end. The final seconds of the fight coming to an end. He throws on a punch, and then the Hungarian backs, goes under, and Williams just throws some body punches under him. And then he felt some pain. And then he throws some wild punches. Petrani throws a wild punch and then clinches him again, going to clinch him again. Like, every time he goes for a clinch, he ducks, goes under, and clinches him. Remember, guys, remember that basketball player that took on against Jake Paul? What's the guy that Jake Paul took on against in 2020 in his second professional fight again? Nate Robinson. Nate Robinson would do the same thing. He used all his energy in the first round, and around the second round, all he would do is move forward under to clinch Jake Paul. And Jake Paul would know it. And the end of the fight, he tried to go for a clinch, and Jake Paul just bammed him, and he hit the canvas. Match is over. This guy would do the exact same thing. And it was so, like, he's holding on for dear life. And the fight ends where he goes for it. He's going to duck again. And Williams just, out of nowhere. He puts in this wide, like, he goes for the duck, and Williams sets him up for it. And, it was painful to watch, because you know that the fight has to be over. Now, the punch in replay might not have been that bad, but you know it hurts. He gets back up, but the referee waves the fight off, and that's it. Guys, you want to know what makes this worse? It makes this fight worse because my nose is itching. And it's not fun because I keep talking too much. But listen. As they announced they announced the winner of Danny Williams winning the fight at the time, as they do, the commentator says Danny Williams has gone from fighting the best heavyweights in the world to the worst. It's so bad to just witness that. Like, you could tell this was not a good thing for Williams. Now, luckily, he would come in December the 10th this year to take on the 2000 gold medalist winner, Audrey Harrison. And he would win by split decision. He would take on Matt Skeleton in February and win by split decision in that 12-round fight. But then he would lose in a rematch 5 months later, but still. And then lose in a rematch with Audrey Harrison in 2006. And by the year of 2008, and by the end of the decade in 2009 and everything else, his boxing career would go out the toilet. Lose against Jarek Chisora, Manuel Achar in 2011. His career in these moments in his life, of how he lost fights in 2010, all the way from times in 2000 and, oh my gosh, from 2014 and such. And, oh boy, and some of the fights he lost against were against nobodies, and some were against debut fighters and such. It was bad. And he would continue losing other fights as time goes. But yeah, ever since his last fight come last August against some random dude named Luisin Loizao, and that guy is ranked 254 from the country of Kripas, also from Republic of Congo, which he was born in. He's 10-0. So, yeah, good luck if that guy has a chance for a champion. But, yeah, you could tell that this settled the score. Like, Williams' career by 2005 and everything else in 2007, by the end of 2009, his career died. It's sad, but it is what it is. Yeah. So, the greatest of all pound-for-pound fighters, guys. This right here, ladies and gentlemen, can be predicted as such. Because, like, guys, say what you want about some professional fighters, and for some interesting reason, there is enough championship fighters from each division, but sometimes that's not the truth. But when it comes to one country dominating it, like Japan, you know you're in for something. And this right here is interesting because what makes this moment more interesting for me to even talk about is that out of nowhere, do we have what it takes to have an undisputed championship fight in the minimum weight division? Now, it happened in women's. The women's have already done their undisputed fight, and Senicia Estrada won. Now we have another American fighter, Southpaw, Oscar Collazo. Now, guys, just to end this video with a tiny bit of a calm thing, this right here is ridiculous because in minimum weight boxing, light weight boxing, there's a lot to cover because you look up competition. Now, Oscar Collazo is 27 years old. He's 10-0. And as a person living in Puerto Rico, as American-born, and with competition happening, there's a lot of interesting things. 10-0, he's WBO champion. Okay. And what about the others? Well, there's nothing much you can say about the other fighters. Like, guys, the Shigeoka brothers have already failed their time. Like, Yudai Shigeoka lost against Melvin Jerusalem on March the 31st this year, which was the same moment of the show where Mitsuru Brendan Tajima's boxing career came to an end. Dead that same night. So you could already tell how that became a fail for the Japanese. And it stinks. Even his brother, his younger brother, Jinjiro, he lost his fight against Pedro Taduran last July for the IBF. And that guy, well, like, what else can you say? Like, as a former minimum weight champion, like, what else can you say about it? Like, so at this moment, but the thing is, guys, it's not that the hard part that you're taking on people from other countries. It's putting them on the line in those countries. You have China, the Philippines, Thailand, Japan. They are the countries that are running the minimum weight division. And we barely only have one American taking over. Now, it could be possible. Who knows? And it should have been more possible last September. But you want to know what's crazy? I came on at the time because, guys, I was already reporting last month ago that Theamanoon Neomontrong, knockout CP Freshmart, was going to fight against a guy named Alex Winwood in his backyard in Australia last September the 7th. A guy 4-0. And after looking this up on BoxRec before making this video, Freshmart remains undefeated. He wins a fight by 2 scorecards of going 114 to 112, one going 113 even. Which goes to show you, is knockout CP Freshmart's career over? Like, it's great that he's back in BoxRec. He's been out of the ring for over 2 years, and now he's back in the fight. I also looked up his information of his character from Taiwan, and he looks like a really dangerous, good fighter, still champion. What makes this thing really interesting is that because he won the belt in June the 29th, 2016, he's held it for now 8 years. He is this close from breaking the record, breaking Ricardo Lopez's minimum weight record since 1990 to 1999, when the guy held on to the belt for over a minimal of days. Like, Ricardo Lopez held on to the title since October the 25th, 1990 to September the 28th, 1999. That's less than 9 years. So if knockout CP Freshmart can hold on for the belt for another year, he might break the record. But it might not, because if Oscar, and this is what I'm talking about, bear with me. If he takes on Oscar Collazo, I think he can defeat CP Freshmart, and he might break the minimum weight record. He might take it away. Like, after Vladimir Klitschko held the record for the multiple of title reigns, breaking Joe Louis in multiple title reigns for 2 times, holding for 12 years in total, Fury defeated him. You want to know what happened in women's boxing in 2020? In the minimum weight division, we had the sad truth story that our great woman fighter from the country of Norway lost her first fight, Cecilia Brækhus. She was going to break out Joe Louis's title defense record, and she was also going to break the record for the longest reign, and Jessica Muscal took it away from her in 2020. They had a rematch in 2021, lost domination. I blame Lawrence Cole, the referee, for this, and everyone else for making it because it was America, and it was bullcrap. I still think to this day Cecilia Brækhus should remain undefeated, and those losses shouldn't have counted. At the end of the day, it is what it is, and something tells me this is what we're going to get. If we get Oscar Collazo versus knockout CP Freshmart, this could be a great minimum weight fight in the history of boxing. Because like I said before, guys, he's held the belt for a long time, since June the 29th, 2016, and from September the 7th, 2024. That's over 8 years. We were under 9 years when Ricardo Lopez, before the 9th year, he stripped the belt to go up to light flyweight or something, and won a few more fights and retired. So I would like to see this, and I hope we get to see Oscar Collazo versus knockout CP Freshmart, because this could be a great minimum weight fight of the ages. North American taking on the entire country of Asia. And if Oscar wins, he might take on the other fighters that defeated Japanese fighters. He might defeat Pedro Tanderin, the guy that defeated Jinjo Shigeoka. He might take on, you guessed it, Melvin Jerusalem, WBC champion. So this could be a great fight of the ages, and I hope it can happen in the future. So I hope, Oscar Collazo, if you're watching this, I wish you best of luck. You might win. But we'll just have to wait in the future, guys. But that will be the end of the podcast. Thanks for watching this video. Let me know in the comments what you viewers think about all this. And also, guys, TwitchCon's coming this Friday. I really wish I could be there. And I'm still... Guys, I decided to give up supporting my NASCAR because people around the world are not paying attention to it. But I'm still going up with hundreds of ideas to have Shy Willie, Numi, Yuzu, Bao, Scoochan, Fillion, and any other people, VTubers, to get my attention. I want to put the attention for them so they can pay attention to me. And I'm still doing that.